Hey, Anatomy and Physiology class. This is Mr. Herda. Sorry I can't be here today. I'm at a tennis tournament, but we're going to be going over the 14 areas of the brain. I am going to do that very quickly. And in front of me, I have a model of a brain. It is colored, and it is very much like the image that you have on the board here. And you see these 14 areas and the images we have here. My daughter's doing this video. Say hi, Cadence. Turn the camera around real quick.
Hi.
There's KK. Very good. Awesome. I'm going to do this fast. I'm going to go through 14 of the areas and what they do. I'm going to go through the easiest to remember first, okay? So we're going to start with the very front of your brain. And on the front of your brain, you are going to have our prefrontal cortex. And that's going to be this red area. And this is the area that makes us really special from all the other animals in the universe. This is going to be about 10 times larger than any other primate, even whales and all that with these big brains. This area right here is what makes us distinct or different. And our prefrontal cortex is very large. And right here, it says higher mental functions. I want you to write on your paper, prefrontal cortex. And this prefrontal cortex is where you concentrate, you plan, you judge, you have your emotional expression, your creativity, and all your inhibitions. If you are driving in a car and you are going, oh, I'm going too fast. Or, man, I don't want to send that snap. And that Snapchat, you're like, oh, it's going to affect this person, oh, and it's going to be bad for this. This is where your prefrontal cortex gives you inhibitions. And it is actually going to save you quite a bit from making bad decisions. It's where we concentrate, plan. This is where your general knowledge areas are. And this area of the brain will be lit up with lots of blood as you're thinking and processing and trying to solve problems. The second area, that's going to be 13, the prefrontal cortex, okay? Now, we're going to move to this area right here, number 3 on the brain. And you're going to look, this is called the motor function area, okay? And this motor function area is going to be this little yellow sliver. And I want you to draw on your paper a line here. And between the yellow and the blue area, this is called the central sulcus. And it is going to divide your brain from the motor divisions and the sensory divisions. So the back is going to be your sensory parts of the brain, which are your feelings and how your body perceives things. The motor is movement, okay? And this central sulcus is going to be this line, and right here between the red and the blue, it's one line that goes straight up. So just like we had the longitudinal fissure, the lateral fissure, and the transverse fissure, the central sulcus will divide the motor, and the motor is going to be the red here towards your prefrontal cortex, and your sensory areas. And we're going to look at that, okay? So here we go. Number 3 is going to be the motor function area. And this is where you control all your muscles. It's your voluntary muscles. You're going to move your mouth, your face, your hands, your trunk of your body, and on the inside of this image, and I can't move this right now, but if you go on the inside of your brain, this is going to be your legs and your feet. And this is all your motor movement. For every person, every little gyrus here is going to control a different part of this area. So this is your motor function area, okay? The next part we're going to look at is another motor area, and it's going to be right here, section 4. It is the only one on the left side of your brain. You want to write that right here. It's called Broca's area, and it's named after the man who found this area. They found an arrow in this one guy's head years ago on the left side, and he could think about what he was going to say and what he was going to do. He could plan it all and write it out, but he could not speak it. And this is where the motor speech area of your brain is. Motor speech. So when you move your mouth to talk, that's going to be area 4. It's only on the left-hand side of the brain. And so if I grab my left-hand side of the brain, it's going to be this little section right here, Broca's area. And so we got motor of all your muscles, motor of all your speech, and then we're going to look at where the motor is for your eyes. It's going to be section 12 right here. And let me see if I can get the right color. Section 12 is another motor area. And this area on our sheet, let's see if I can move this. Why can't I move my page anymore? This is not really moving very good, of course. And let me see if I can solve this here with the mouse.
It's at 5 minutes and 30 seconds.
Oh, that's not good. Okay, there we go. So we're too long right now already, but we're keeping working. And so we're going to go over the motor function area of your eye. So your eyeball will be sitting right here. You got a nice little eyeball, and you have an optic nerve moving to the back of your head and crossing at the optic chiasma. But if we go straight up, your eye muscles are going to be controlled here. And it's your eye motor area. So we got our mouth motor for speech, our eye motor, and then all the controlling of all the muscles of our body here with our prefrontal cortex. And that's going to cover the front part of our brain. Okay? We are now going to move into really easy. We looked, our ear canal comes in about right.
It just went low power mode. Oh, it's still videoing.
All right, we're still videoing. So your ear canal on your skull is going to be right here. And your ear canal is going to come in about right here. You're going to have some nerves in your cochlea that spins around in your ear. And this area is pretty easy. This is called your auditory area. It's right where your ear is. You hear high and low frequencies based on the waves on the little hairs of your ear, the long ones being the bass sounds, and the shorter ones being treble. And you're going to hear all the frequencies of sound right here where your ear comes in. That's going to be the auditory area, section 5. Section 6, we have covered before, and we're going to come here to the inside of the mid-sagittal brain, and it is going to be your limbic area. And this is where hunger, deep fight or flight, sexual reproduction, all these instinctual things you would see in a little mammal brain like this. So with animals, they may not have a big cortex like we do with all these little folds and everything. They're going to have just this real base instinct layer where hunger and sex drive, fight or flight, defending territory, all that's going to happen in the limbic system, and we've talked about this system before. That's section 6. We're going to go to section 8 now. Touching the limbic area is going to be this little section 8. It is called your olfactory area. And so you would have your eyeball sitting right here. You would have your nose coming down like this. I don't know why it changed color on me. My nose changed color. You'd have your nose right here. It's not a good nose. And up at the top of your nose, you're going to get this little gland here. And it's the olfactory. It's a nerve, actually. And it is going to process your smell. So all these chemicals come up to the top of your nose. And they are going to be registered here in the olfactory area. And it links to your limbic area. This is why smells can oftentimes link to memories and other really deep emotions. This is how they're linked. This is why people wear perfume and cologne and other things. So that's our olfactory area. And we have now covered prefrontal, Broca's, eye motor, motor movement of the whole body, the auditory, and we've covered the olfactory and the limbic. And now we're going to keep moving on. And I'm going to move to a place called your sensory area. This is going to be the light blue strip right here. It's going to be inside your brain as well. And just like on your body, you had the motor movement. So if this is the motor movement for your face, if I touch my face, I'm going to feel those sensations in the sensory area. So I can move my mouth right here on the sensory area. But if I want to touch my mouth, it's going to register in the sensory area right here. And so these are going to correlate with one another. Let me show you a quick image. And so if we go here to this sheet, I had all this pulled up during my classes. And you're going to see an image like this.
Oh.
And this image,
It's already at 10 minutes.
All right, we're going to be okay. We're going to have to be okay. Right here, on the inside of your cortex, this is going to be your legs, dedicated to feeling in your legs. Your booty and your belly only get a couple little gyruses. Your hand gets 3 full gyruses of dedicated neurons in your body. Your face gets 1 full gyrus, and your tongue and your swallowing reflex get another. These make up parts of this motor and this sensory cortex. This is called the homunculus. But everybody's nerves that control certain parts of your body can be found on this, okay? So what we're going to go is go back to our last picture. So we found our sensory area. And let me see if I can find my image again. I'm sorry. It has disappeared a few times already. Oh, jeez. Okay, I can't find it. We were wasting time. Oh, geez, there's no telling what all pictures I got up here. Sorry, I thought this was already pulled up. There we go. So we're going to keep working here on the brain. I will not go off of this again. And we found this sensory area right here. Behind your sensory area is going to be called your somatosensory area. Okay? And this somatosensory area, let me pull this down a little bit. Is going to be just this little section right behind. And this is where you could look at this and you could go, oh, that's going to be bumpy and I'm going to feel that. It looks like it's hard. And this is where weight and texture and cold or hot. If you look at a piece of metal or this cup right here, you're going to go, oh, that looks like it's wet right here. And you would know what that feels like. And it's where you recognize how heavy an object is, what it's shaped like, whether it would be cold or hot. And this is where you store all kinds of sensory information from your vision at your occipital lobe in the back of your head, because your eyes are going to be right here, and your optic chiasma is right here. And this is where we're going to process our vision. And then part of the information from our vision about weight, texture, temperature, object recognition is going to come in this area number 10. I'll call it the SAW, somatosensory association area. Probably the hardest one to memorize. All right, we are almost finished. I just covered our visual cortex, and the visual cortex is going to be back here in the occipital lobe, and you can write that straight onto your paper. Number 1, you can call this the occipital cortex. It's also called the visual area. And this is where we process light and dark and what an image looks like in colors in the back of our head. So we have eye movement, mouth, speech movement, motor movement, sensory areas, evaluation of like weight and texture. We have our occipital lobe, which is going to do vision. And the last 2 lobes I'm going to cover, one that surrounds your auditory area. This is where you comprehend written and verbal speech. Whatever you read and hear, you comprehend it here. And this is Wernicke's area. It's the only other area that's named after a person. Written and spoken language are comprehended here. And it makes sense that it's right around where you hear and where your ear is. For the last part, I'm going to cover section 2. It's just called the association area. It is your temporal lobe. And this is where short-term memories are stored. When we did the number sequences, 111, 0464, and we did those short-term memories stored here because you hear the information. It gets stored in nerves here. It also keeps part of your balance because inside of your ears, you have these semicircular canals. And these semicircular canals let you know where you're at. That's why when you spin around on a merry-go-round, the fluid in these makes it feel like you're still moving. And then this is also an emotional area here. The last area is going to be your balance and coordination, which is your cerebellum. That's the 14 areas of your brain. I hope you remember these and study these. Know the functions of each of the areas and the names of them. Section 7 here is just called a sensory association area, which means it's a sensory area, but it does a whole bunch of different stuff. And I'm not going to really focus that much on section 7. I hope you have a great day. Sorry this video was so long. Y'all keep rocking it. Your brains are special. Bye-bye.